Greetings and welcome back to Mike's Amateur Arcade Monitor Repair Channel. This is the last chassis in the series of 4 for the same customer, Randy. And hot on the heels of the last K7000, we have this K7000 here. So let's go through and see what we got. Put this away. Nothing else in the box. So I already did go through these. When I first got them, I went through them to make sure nothing was broken or damaged or missing. But other than that, that's all I did. I didn't do anything else other than just look at it and say, okay, yeah, everything's here, and that's all I did. So first off, let's take a general look, and yep, everything is here. First things first, let's get this secured down. Okay. Let's inspect our neck board. Oh, sorry, remote board. And no broken pots. That's good. Neck board. Got some bent transistors, but no lifted or broken pads. All of our hopefully that survived. Yes, okay, that's good. Oh man, yeah. That was fortunate. That was smashed flat over. Almost flat over anyway. So let's go ahead and adjust these to center. That one's kind of odd. It's missing the center part. Those are a different style. Okay. Now let's look it over. I can already see one bulging cap that looks like all the smoke is out of it because the top is open. Everything else looks complete. And we have, it looks like someone has replaced this capacitor because there is obvious reflow work and this has been messed with, rather not very well. But everything else looks original. No, this is completely unmolested, and it looks, this is the first one. Oh man, I see something else, but I'll show you in a minute. This is the very first one I think I've ever seen, ever, without a single mod. There is not a single mod anywhere on this chassis, and this is, I think, this is the first K7000 I've ever seen in my life without a single mod. Can you believe that? Look at that. There's no resistors for your contrast. There's no capacitors here for the vertical circuit. I've never seen, there's no capacitors here for the horizontal. I've never seen a completely bare, I'm sure it exists, but across my bench I've never seen one without a single mod, so that's very odd. But here's what I see. Before we talk about that, here's what Randy says. No picture. I think nothing was done to this. And I can verify that because it's still got the original flyback. This is a 1990 version, obviously, because it doesn't have the white knob flyback. It's got the black knob flyback. The caps all appear to be original, except for this one that was obviously changed. But if we look at this here, we can not only see that this cap is bulging, but it's open. The top of this cap has let all of its smoke out. You can see right here that it's obviously opened, and everything is shot out of it. I guarantee that's what happened. So this is bad. You can look at it and see that it's bulging at the top, and the top is cracked open. So that's problem one. Problem two, I noticed when I turned this over, was right here. Look at that. That is crispy. Crispy. Yep. Wow. Absolutely no idea what caused this, but it looks like it got so hot that it deformed the solder around it. I don't have any idea if this is a bad flyback that caused that, but it could be. I can't say, but it also could be because we got evidence here of open grounds, like somebody had this thing shoved into a monitor that it didn't fit in the frame, and they could have shorted something out here and shorted something out across here. But if that was the case, you'd imagine there'd be some burn marks or scorch marks here, so I could be barking up the wrong tree here, but that is suspicious. But this here is nice and crispy and toasty, and it just cooked. And I don't know what would have caused that on that pin, because there's nothing else here that could have done that. This is the HOT here. This is the, I believe this is the emitter of the HOT. I could be wrong. But yes, this is part of the horizontal. These two posts here, this is the horizontal coil. This is the vertical coil. So with the vertical coil being here and the horizontal being here, and this is part of the horizontal trace, it's possible the picture tube was bad, or the yoke could have shorted and taken that out. That's what's disconcerting or concerning about this, is if I get this fixed and repaired and Randy goes to put it back on his shorted yoke, this is just going to happen again. So that's out of my control. All I can do is fix it. But if he gets it back and this happens again, well, he can send it back to me. I don't know, but yep, that is a problem, and I suspect it might be an issue with the horizontal coil because of what it's connected to here. Also, we have the very common oxidation on the pads here. This is burned up and oxidized. This pad here for the resistor is burned up and oxidized, barely hanging on for dear life, and its corresponding pad over here. And look at all these blobs of whatever this is. Well, so yeah, this needs the full reflow and the full rework and a full rebuild and a good inspection, because this is suspicious. I don't know what would have caused that, except for possibly a horizontal coil issue or yoke issue. But everything else seems okay except for that. So I guess what we'll do, I have a cap kit and I have a flyback. I don't want to change the flyback because I don't like changing parts that are working. I assume it's working, but since we have this issue of this burning up, I don't know if this was caused by the flyback or something else. So I'm going to go ahead and put a new flyback in here. I think I have one. I do not have a K7000 flyback. I know for a fact I have I have like 3 or 4 cap kits, but from what it looks like, do I? I do have one. I've got one right here, a loose one. I didn't see. Oh. I got a box here of all these flybacks, and I've got some that are sitting here loose in the box that I took off of boards that were otherwise unrepairable, or new stuff like an ampliphone. But let's see, that's ampliphone. I think this is a Cortec T&E. I just ripped that off of there, damn it. And I had this K7000 one just sitting in here that I must have pulled off of another chassis at some point. So we do have one. All right, so that's fortunate. So we'll put that one in. So, all right, so it looks like we have all of our parts we're going to need. So let me cut away here. When I come back, I'll have all the cap kit installed, and I'll have the new flyback installed, and then we'll go through and do all of our testing of our component. Well, you know, I'll tell you what. No, let's do the testing of our components now. That way when I come back with the new Flyback and the cap kit, I'm also going to do the entire reflow and all the rework and everything that needs done to it. I'll do that. So when I come back, we'll be able to be ready to throw it on a picture tube and test it. So I'll do all the work. We'll test everything now. I'll do all the work and come back, and then I'll show all the work off and how everything that I've done to get it ready for that point. And then we will get it on the tube and test it. One more thing here, now that I think about it. I didn't do this on the last one, but this one looks, whenever these look kind of crusty, I just take them out of the socket and just kind of clean them off a little bit and then stick them back in the socket just for a better connection. So yeah, let me get, let's do all of our testing here real quick. And then I'll do the cap kit and the Flyback and the rebuild and the reflow, and we'll come back and get it hooked up and see what happens. So first things first here, we'll test R104, 15, R89, if I can get in there, 3.8, that's good. This should be 5K, give or take. There we go. I think this was 270, if I'm not mistaken. 270, 1.8, if I'm not mistaken. Uh-oh. Well, there's why you check things. Look at that. R96 appears to be wide open. I think this should be 1.8K, and it is open. What is this one? I think that's good. There's the 1.8K. Is it supposed to be 1.8? Let's look at this one. Yes, 1.8K. So you can see here I'm on R96 and it's 1.8K. So that is one problem. That's why it's important. That's why you'll see me test all those resistors. I don't just test R104 and R89. I test all these big resistors in the power circuit because of that reason right there. We found one that's open. These are always going to read shorted because they're going across the linearity coil. So you would need to take this one out of circuit and this one out of circuit. There's two resistors in here that'll always read 0. This one and this one because they're going across the linearity coil. But we found R96 here it goes into the mega ohm and then opens up. So we got to fix that. I think that's all of our resist. Oh, R103. R103 is also. Whoa, wait a minute. There we go. I was going to say R103 resistors don't short. They open up or go out of tolerance. So there's our 3 ohms. Okay, I was touching this pad. I was touching this pad here with the side of the lead. So when we go to the actual connection here, there you go, 2.8. So those are all of our resistors. Let's check our HOT. The HOT is good. Our critical safety cap is good. Our C38 is good. Our voltage regulator is good. 150 ohms across 3 and 4. 180, I'm sorry. 180 ohms. It reads 150 when you go to the diode. So there's our B plus resistor. 180. Alright. So let's check D13. That's good. D14. Come on. There we go. Wait a minute. Am I backwards on that? I was backwards on that. Okay, so there's... Yep, there we go. 0.5. D14, and then D13 should be the other way. Yes. All right. Well, so we got R103 are all the resistors. Now R96 is bad. We got HOT, voltage regulator, C38, C36, D13, D14. I believe we should be good except for our rectifier diodes. Yep. Come on. There we go. They got a lot of glue on here, so it's hard to read these in circuit. Okay. Alright. So now that I think about what's going on here, that everything has checked good except R96, I think maybe R96 opened up. You know what? Let's check. I want to check D18. That the diode across the yoke connection here, D18, this little guy that hides down in here. I don't know if you can see it, that guy right in there. I want to check him because if that's bad, that could account for that burned up flyback trace as well, or that point. If I could get my leads here tangled up any more, that'd be great. Okay, so let's get down in here and test D18. D18 is good. Well, okay, I don't know if R96 opened up and caused the burning pad, or if the flyback failed and caused R96 to burn up. I don't know, but we've got a blown cap, and we have a open resistor, and we have a possible bad flyback with this burned up pad. So let's get the full rebuild complete, and I'll do all of the reflow and everything that needs done, so when I come back I'll show it ready to go, and then we'll get it on the tube and see what happens. One moment. Well, through the magic of video editing, it's all complete. Everything reflowed, reworked, and we've already tested everything. This new flyback that I installed, it was missing the suction cup, or the anode cup. I don't know if I robbed it for another project or what really, but it was missing, so I had to just splice in the one off the old flyback. But I got the heat shrink on here with the glue inside of it, so it'll be very insulated and secure, and it won't break, and it should be good to go. So I had to do that. Let's just go ahead and reveal all this. So I did some investigating here, and I've actually had a number of these across the bench, but I never really remembered or noticed that there were no mods on the bottom. Normally you have that black ground wire that goes across here. It attaches to, I believe, this point here and goes over to this. So it's a ground jumper from this ground point to this ground point. And it actually isn't missing. It's installed on the top side of the board. On this version of the K7000, they've got it installed on the top side of the board. And it goes from that ground point on this over here to that side, just like it is on the normal one, from, you know, from here to here. So I think some of the mods that were incorporated on the bottom are actually on the top, but for all intents and purposes, yeah, this is the same as the rest of them. This one has the little P723 riser board, and this is not uncommon on the later models. But I guess I never really noticed that this version with the 723 riser didn't have any mods on the bottom. I never really paid that much attention. Usually you see the ones, the 1986 version and the earlier 1990 version that doesn't have this one. This is a much later version with the 723 riser board on there. Alright, anyway, so let's look at the bottom. It's all reflowed and worked and done. We got this pad here basically disintegrated the moment I tried to take the solder off, so I scraped away the solder mask with the fiberglass pin and soldered right to it. So this is pretty much as repaired as I can make it. And of course the new flyback is installed and soldered in. I had to fix all of the normal reflow problem areas, like right here across this. This was burned up, and this was burned up, and this was burned up, and things like that. So I went through and hit all of the normal problem areas, like the ceramic resistors and the areas here in the power section for the resistors that get hot. So that's all done. This one right here got burned up pretty good. I had to fix that. So everything is, and all the reflow that needed reflow, the strategic reflow of the pads, it looked suspicious. But overall this looked very clean and good. Just the normal problem heat areas, and of course whatever was going on with this burned pad and burned flyback post. I got R96 replaced right there, and it reads 1.8 kilo ohms in circuit like it's supposed to. It's a little bit bigger wattage than is necessary because it came out of this Zenith K7000A, but it still should work just fine for what it needs to be. I'm not really too worried about it. We already tested everything else all across the entire board that would keep it from powering on. So I believe that we're ready. So let's get it on the tube and cross our fingers, and hopefully it fires up and we'll get it adjusted and call this one a nice, quick, easy fix. So hang on one moment. Let's get the tube over here and see what happens. Okay, we're all hooked up. Anode, neck, yoke, ground, video, power, and we have our test pattern generator. Here's all the old parts, the old flyback, all the old caps, and the open R96. I tested it out of circuit and it is indeed completely open, so that was a problem. I don't know if that was the cause of the flyback pad burning up or really whatever was going on with this thing, but we don't know. So everything's rebuilt. We know from our testing that everything should work. All of our power circuit components are good. So fingers crossed here. Hope it doesn't catch fire or burn up. We got this on. And moment of truth. 1, 2, 3. Let's see what happens. Well, fired up. I don't hear any odd noises or sounds or see any smoke. Uh-oh. We've got video problems. First of all, let's turn down our contrast and our brightness, and let's turn our flyback. Let's adjust our flyback properly. Let's turn it up till we get our raster lines. I don't get raster lines. That's very odd. Well, let's leave it right there. Something's not right there because I didn't get raster lines. So let's turn our black level and contrast back up. Well, I got contrast. Let's take a look at something here. Let's do H position. Okay, so it's folding over on itself. I don't know if you can tell. There, you can see that creep over on itself. So something's going on there. When I position this, when I move it over to the right, it folds over on itself. But we'll leave it centered for now. And let's reduce our vertical size. We got 50-60 hertz problem. So let's fix that real quick. Okay, here we go. And as I adjust the pot, this should go away. I need to fix, let's move our size down more. There we go. Well, something is very odd because, well, I can't tell because we only have blue. We may have a shorted blue transistor. Let's scroll through our colors here. So we have red and we have green. We barely have red. This is that tube with the weak red gun. And we have all of our colors, but it's overly blue. So we'll have to figure out what's going on. If we try to adjust the blue here, does it do anything? It does turn down. That's blue all the way down. So now you can see we have red and green. So let's see, let's turn black level down to there. Contrast, no. Right there is where everything's gone. Let's turn our blue back up. Nope, it just gets blue. Well, let's take this back off and inspect our neck board and check our color transistors and see if we have a shorted blue. Because a shorted blue transistor could do this. An open pot can do it, but we know that adjusting the pots makes it go down. I can turn the drive and it shuts down or turns down. I adjust the cutoff, and it turns down, so we know our pots are good. So the next step here is to check the transistor. So let me get this turned around and back off the tube, and we'll see if we can figure out what's going on here. You know, it's interesting how things go sometimes in life, because you have irony and you have, you know, things like, well, you're out there humming a song and you get humming a song you haven't heard in forever. You get in your car and turn the radio on, and the very first song you hear is the song you were humming that you haven't heard in forever, and very odd things like that throughout life. Well, I just had a K7000 across the bench just a couple of videos ago, if I'm not mistaken, that had an all blue image, just like what we are experiencing here. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Q3 that was shorted, that was giving us the blue screen, the all blue screen. Now, I mentioned all that because I think the same problem as I have with this one. I can count the number of times I've changed one of these out on probably one hand in let's see, 16 years of working on arcade machines and stuff like this. I can count on one hand the number of times I've changed this out, and I think I'm about to change out the second one in a week. So it's just crazy like that. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. If we go to the very first one, Q1, and we go to the base, which is here on the side, and we go to the emitter, we're reading 0.616 and it's steady. We go to the collector and we're 0.691 steady. So we go to Q2, base to emitter, same thing, 0.613, collector 0.693, so we got 0.693 and 0.612, give or take. Then we have 0.691 and 0.616, so these are both the same. Now when I go to Q3, and I go to the base, and I go to the emitter, 0.389, 0.390, and then the collector, same thing, 0.390. So I think this is bad. So let's just take it out of the circuit. I turned my soldering iron off. I should have known better. Let's take it out of the circuit, and we'll steal one from this K7000A. First of all, while the iron's heating up, let's verify that this one's good. Not that it matters which one I take, but yeah, see there? 0.647 to the collector, the emitter. Well, that could be because I got so much stuff missing from the board. Does this one read the same? Yeah, that one, they all do the same thing. So I think we have another bad Q3 of all things. So let's just take this out of here. I'm going to do it the unorthodox way. And we're just going to heat all the pads up at one time and yank it out of here. See how easy that is sometimes? If you're able to heat up all the pads at one time, take it right out. So there's that. And we'll do the same thing for this one. And that is, it's not those. Those go off the, I'm not going to be able to do that for this one. They're too far apart. Alright, so we're going to have to hit this pad. Hit this pad and hit this pad. Let's see if we can get that out of there. Okay, success. So now, let's take the one that we just took out of the 7000A and put it in here. I'll just test it after we install it, because I'm lazy like that. Alright. And let's get this in here. Okay. Now, let's test it again. base. Collector. 0.612 and emitter. I say we got it, or at least a step in the right direction. So here we go again. Let's get it on the tube and see if that fixed it. Okay, I got the blue color pots set back to center like the rest of them, how it was originally, and I went ahead and did test all the transistors, and of course they all checked good. That's how I went to here and found that. So I don't know if that'll fix it, but I'm hoping that it will. At least the next step in the road would be IC1 if we have to go that route. But let's see if this works. So everything's hooked back up, ready to go. Let's turn on our generator, and 1, 2, 3, power up. How about that? Let's kill our light here. Hachi Machi. Let's adjust our H position right there. That's good. We got equidistant on the sides. And let's do our vertical size. Yeah, see, we still have an issue because see how it's stretching? It's tearing. It's tearing at the top. And that shouldn't be. Vertical position. We bring this down and make it about, let's reduce our vertical size. Yeah, it's tearing. Right about there is where it stops tearing. Vertical position. So right there it's evenly spaced. It's evenly spaced left and right, and it's evenly spaced top and bottom. But if I've got, you know, let's say 2.5 inches of black on the top and the bottom. Let me turn the light back on. Okay, so I got 2 inches of black on the top and 2 inches of black on the bottom. So if I actually increase the vertical size, you can see that it starts to tear. So something is not right there. And then it starts to fold over on itself. I just wonder if maybe, let's turn up our black level. That's better, that's much better. And we got to adjust our focus here a bit. There's pretty good. So I wonder if it's 50-60 hertz related. I doubt it though. So let's get our screwdriver on here. And it is related. Hot damn. So if we look here, I still got something kind of going on at the top, but let's go right there with it. And if we redo our vertical position to raise it up a bit, right there. Still got something going on here. I'm not too worried about it because we're equidistant now from the top and the bottom and the sides. So we have a nice perfect square round image now. And I want to go and I want to hook up my NBA Jam board and see what it looks like without the TPG, just to rule out the TPG as possibly causing that. But let's scroll through our different images here. See, yeah, there's that line at the top. Does it move with the vertical size? It does. But we have good RGB and a good picture now. So we had, all told, we had original caps. I don't know if the Flyback was any good. But we had an open R96 and a bad, I think this is probably shorted. I haven't tested it, but let's just assume it's shorted. A shorted Q3, an open R96, and we had one blown cap and a possible bad Flyback. All the solder joints were okay, except for obviously that one that was bad on the Flyback. So that was the general consensus of what the fix for this was. But I'm interested about that line. So let's turn this off. Turn this off. Plug this in. And turn, actually I gotta, hold on. Can I do this? Yes, I can. Move this out of the way. And I gotta plug in my other harness here. make sure that we're still seated in here safely. All right, and here we go. Let's see what happens now. Do you see what happens, Larry? Do you see what happens, Larry? Okay, let's see what this looks like. Vertical hold. There we go. H position. You can see how off everything is after the test pattern generator has a very high output, so your brightness and contrast end up being much darker when you hook up an actual PCB. So if we turn up our brightness to, see right there's too bright. If we turn it down to roughly there is where it needs to be, just to make it easier to see, let's kill the light. And yeah, see, you can see there's no more black. If we turn this up, right there is about where you want black to be. Contrast, turn it up to your contentment. Oh yeah, see how dark that is, even with the black level. We'll turn black down, contrast down. Let's go back to our flyback and hook up, or I'm sorry, and adjust our screen pot until we get the raster lines. There's our raster lines back down until they just go away. And then black level, contrast. That's better. It gets blurry though. We need to adjust our colors. Vertical size. Yeah, see, the line's gone at the top. See, the line's gone at the top? I think that was a test pattern generator issue. So, okay, whew, that's what I was assuming. So we're okay left to right. You can see a little bit of the gray on the sides. And we're good vertical. You can see the gray and the gray. So we have a nice square good image now. So it doesn't really do any good to adjust the colors because they're going to be readjusted on their home tube, if you will. But it needs more red. And it needs more green and a little bit more blue. That's probably good enough for now. Yep, see, that's much better already. And we've got to redo the focus now because we are all out of focus after adjusting everything. There we go, glorious. So, yeah, colors are still aren't perfect, but it's much better. Again, like I say, this doesn't really matter because it's not staying on this tube, but we can adjust more here. Yeah, it's looking better already. So, and then of course, yep, no more line at the top. If we reduce our vertical size, as you can see, no line. That line that was there on the test pattern generator is not there now. So that's why it's always important to use an actual board as well. When the battery is brand new in this, I put a new battery in here like yesterday. But sometimes there are just some anomalous things going on with the TPG. So I like to have a regular board on hand for testing to verify things like this. So yeah, I think we're sitting pretty good on this one. And I'd say another one fixed. I'll let it run for a couple hours and box it back up, and all four of Randy's chassis, all four of this series of 4 are now fixed and ready to go. And I'm sure he'll be happy. I'll get them all boxed up and sent back to him, and then I have over here in this box, I got 3 more to do. So like I say, if these prove to be somewhat interesting, I'll go through them and see what's wrong with them, what they're labeled, and if something seems good, like no power and how these were, I'll make videos on them. But for the most part, yeah, if they're just cap kits and flybacks and rebuilds, nothing's wrong with them, I probably won't do videos. So we'll see. Stay tuned. Obviously, you'll find out. So thanks again for watching. It's much appreciated, and hopefully you learned something, and like, share, and subscribe if you want. Otherwise, yeah, thanks again, and stay tuned, and we'll see you on the next one.